Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
This episode is brought to you by Global X. Since 2008, Global X ETFs has been committed to empowering investors with unexplored, intelligent solutions. Global X specializes in exchange-traded funds that offer exposure to the artificial intelligence ecosystem, including themes like data centers, robotics, semiconductors, and cloud computing. To learn more about Global X's entire suite of ETFs, from covered calls, fixed income, emerging markets, and more, visit globalxetfs.com.
And it's going to be, he's a really great addition to the guest because a lot of the audience resonates with money mindsets, business, finance, entrepreneurship, leadership, and I'm really happy to pick his brain. So Pericles, welcome.
Chris, thank you for having me on the show. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself, and I'm excited to dive into the discussion.
Sure. About 30 years ago dating myself, 30 years ago when I started my coaching kind of venture out into business coaching, I was working with business owners. I was working with individuals who wanted to earn more money. They wanted to expand their businesses. They basically wanted more success in the work that they were doing. And as I started working with them, I noticed something pretty early on, which was if they were somebody who was behind before they started working with me, they were behind every month, or they were just treading water every single month. What I noticed was they were making a lot more money now that they were working with me, but they were still in the same situation. They were either just treading water, or they were just behind, or in many cases, they were still stressed and had anxiety and worry around money. And so I thought, there's got to be something going on here. This is no coincidence that across the board, everyone's in the same situation. And so I started to really study it and research it and look at it. And over the next 2 years, I discovered two things. The first and foremost is that we all have what I like to call a financial thermostat. And that financial thermostat is tantamount to our money mindset. And it determines how much money we can earn, how much money we can keep, as well as our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. And the second thing were the 4 keys to resetting our financial thermostat. So from that point forward, I started delivering this new education to my clients, and the results were spectacular. So ever since, and my focus has been on money mindset, and that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years.
Yeah. And it's amazing because a lot of my cohorts, they're high income earners, but they spend it all and they don't save or they don't have anything. So I'm really excited and then you see people you wouldn't think would have a lot of money, they've saved and invested in people you think like the sports stars and celebrities, and they're broke.
Yeah.
And I love this idea of financial thermostat. And so alluded to it, but how do financial thermostats get set early on, and how can people change it in their adulthood and in later years in their life?
Yeah, it's unique for each individual person, but generally our financial thermostats are determined or set when we're very young, when we're around our parents or family members or other people of influence in our life. And we hear something that triggers something in our minds. And from that moment on, that setting is now there. I'll give you an example from my life. When I was growing up very young, I was probably 6 or 7 years old. We were watching a show called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. You may remember that from a long time ago. And it was all about different wealthy families or wealthy people or famous people and what their lifestyles look like. But there was always a slant of, there's something wrong here. There was something that didn't quite go the way they wanted it to. And I remember at the end of this one particular episode where it was this wealthy family and their life was a mess. It was just a disaster. And my mom said, very casually, without any ulterior motive, I never want to have that kind of money. You'll lose your whole family. Yeah. And that 6-year-old boy, in that moment, my financial thermostat got set at a certain amount of money, not knowing that I could never get beyond that until I recognized it and then shifted that setting. And it's something I noticed and was challenged with until I started down the path of money mindset, where I had this glass ceiling I could not break through. So as you were saying, there are some people who they can make a lot of money. They're really good at that. Their financial thermostat setting for earning is off the charts, but they can't keep it. At the end of the month, they're looking around thinking, what happened to my money? Where did it go? Or they can make a lot of money. They can keep a lot of money, but they're not fulfilled. They don't have a sense of joy and happiness in their lives. So all of these things point towards what your financial thermostat setting is. So to shift that or reset your financial thermostat, we have to do, number one is we have to understand what money is. And that is that money is a currency. And as a currency, it actually moves like or flows like a current, like electricity or water or air. Now, it flows in a unique way in that it flows in a circle. So it looks like this. We've got this circle and we intersect that circle. So money flows to us, through us, and away from us, and then back around to us, through us, and away from us with a reservoir on the side that we get to keep. Now, because money flows in this cyclical pattern, blocks anywhere in that flow are ultimately blocks everywhere in that flow. So we can have blocks in the flow of money coming to us. That would look like, I hate the wealthy. I think money is the root of all evil. I think if you've made a lot of money, you've done something wrong to get there. There's something fundamentally flawed about you. Or I hate my boss, or I hate the bigwigs in the company that I work for. All of those things are blocks in the flow of money coming to us. The other way, blocks going away from us are things like, I hate paying taxes. I hate spending money. I've got to hold on to it. I hate paying people on time or paying people at all. These are all just samples, but these are examples of what these blocks look like. Now, these blocks determine how much money we can earn or how much money we can keep, or our thoughts, feelings, and emotions around money. So the first thing we need to do in order to reset that financial thermostat, for example, for myself, I noticed this old conversation of, I never want to have that kind of money because I'll lose my whole family. Step number one, you've got to notice the conversation and own it. This is my conversation. It's been my conversation for decades. I can own that that's my conversation. The second step is you have to let go of the conversation. And this is oftentimes the hardest. So a lot of people say, yeah, that's my conversation. I can own it. Okay, now can you let it go? I don't know. We've been so used to having this conversation. It's familiar to us. We want to hold it tight. So we've got to let go of that conversation. And this may sound weird, but you have to do it out loud. Okay, I let go of that conversation that if I make a lot of money, I'm going to lose my whole family. You know what? It's not mine anymore. I give it up. I surrender it over into the care of, I don't care who you give it to, whether it's God or the universe or the trees or the rocks or the beach or whatever. Give it up. Let it go. And then as soon as you feel a sense of release or relief, like you can feel, wow, feel a little bit lighter. I can feel that conversation going away. In that moment, you declare who you're going to be or what money's going to be for you in that moment. Money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day. And you feel what that feels like. And that third step allows you to now create a new financial thermostat setting. Now, we've got two things that we're working with here. One is brain science and one is energetic. So the brain science, if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, that kind of work. We've got these neural pathways in our brains that fire and wire together over decades and decades. So a 6-year-old boy firing and wiring together, never make that kind of money, you'll lose your family. In those first two steps, what we're doing is we're actually interrupting that neural pathway. We're breaking that neural pathway, as it were. And then in the third step, where we're making that declaration from the frontal cortex, from that part of our brain that has critical thinking, we're creating a new neural pathway. And that neural pathway it's a little baby. We've got to nurture it. We've got to give it attention. We've got to focus on it. And when we do that, the more we do it, the more powerful it becomes. The quieter that old conversation becomes. It'll never go away, but the quieter it becomes. Ultimately, our predominant conversation is money flows to me easily and abundantly every single day.
Empower your business or digital agency with Bluehost, trusted by over 5 million WordPress users globally. Bluehost features top-to-bottom hosting optimizations designed specifically for WordPress, giving you 24/7 access to a team of experts for support, plus thousands of WordPress help articles. So if you want to streamline WordPress website creation with intuitive controls and premium support, choose Bluehost, powering over 2 million websites worldwide.
Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed. And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
So I have a really beautiful, because I'm always studying spirituality and how it relates to business and finances. So what my first question for the audience is, when you mention this money as a currency and it flows, and we'll talk about law of attraction later, but how is what you're talking about in this money sense, how is it different than karma?
Oh, this is a great question. I've never had that question before. If you believe in karma is exactly the same conversation of flowing to us through this cycle of, here we go, we're going to run this again. What lessons did you learn in the process of this time around the sun? So if we're looking at it in this lifetime, beyond, not beyond the next lifetime, but in this lifetime, as we travel around the sun one time, what are the lessons that I've learned? And where are the opportunities that I missed to learn a lesson? A lot of us, oftentimes, we'll look at something that happens that we don't necessarily want to happen, and we have one of two choices. We can complain and we become victims and just, oh, this woe is me. Or we can choose to say, you know what? This is a crappy thing. I wish this hadn't happened. But what can I learn from this? How can I become a better person? How can I become more connected with my higher self or my spiritual path by learning from this particular lesson, as bad as it may be? When we take that action, suddenly we see things that we never saw before. Wow, I had a really bad relationship with money. I had a really negative mindset around money. I can now shift that mindset and create a positive one. So when you start to expand that out, we're looking at karma being, how did you live this life? If you lived this life without learning those lessons, then maybe you're going to come back and do that all over again and have the opportunity to learn those lessons. When we pull towards us, every experience in life is an opportunity, then we look at life differently and we can grow and expand at an exponential rate. Did that answer your question? I'm not sure if I fully answered your question.
No, it actually does, because overall, everything is energy. And so what I've really learned is all debts must be paid in some form or fashion. And basically, if you do something bad, it's going to come back. You're going to have to pay that price, usually 10 times in the form of karma or something like. That's why you see people in the drug trade or just money laundering, all these, they're never rich. They get a lot of money, but they lose it quickly because it's now. Which brings me to my curiosity question is, because you mentioned, because I know people, they hate the rich because they feel like or they hate the government, or they hate paying taxes, and but they're wealthy. They save, they invest, but they have these negative beliefs. So is it possible to be wealthy and rich with these kind of mindsets, like taxes go to war, or taxes are wasteful, or the rich are greedy, or the rich are unscrupulous? Talk about that dichotomy.
I think it's an interesting thing to look at. And I don't know if it's possible to actually become wealthy if you resent or hate the wealthy. We can't become that which we resent or that which we hate. It's just an oxymoron. It contradicts itself. But it is possible. I think a lot of people will say to me, money's evil. Money's the root of all. And money's just money, right? It's not good. It's not bad. It's none of those things. What it is as a current, it will amplify the personality traits that we already have in ourselves. Yeah. And so when we'll see two separate people, both of them very successful, very wealthy. We'll see one of them who is generous and kind and loving and just extraordinary and humble. And then we'll see somebody else who's not that. They're greedy and they're mean and they're just vindictive and all of that. Both those people had those potential personality traits in there. It's now that we've got money, we are looking at amplifying those personality traits. Which traits do you want to allow money to amplify? That's all it is. And I have that choice every single moment. Every interaction I have, I can be a great person, I can be compassionate and understanding, or I can be a jerk. Which am I going to choose to do? And oftentimes I think when we start getting more and more money, what we do when we go down the dark side, we'll say the dark path, we will surround ourselves with people who will continue to support that dark path versus I'm surrounded with people who are going to call me out in a heartbeat. If I'm not living up to who I've said I am, if I'm not being who I say I want to be in the world, the people around me are going to call me on it. Pericles, what did you just do? I can't believe you just said that is not who you, and I'm like, shoot, you're right. And I'll go clean that up right away. But when we start to get to that place of having a lot of money, we can easily attract people who are willing to tell us whatever we want to hear in order to be close to that money. And so we see it oftentimes with people who veer out of their lane. They're really successful in one area of their life. Doesn't mean they know everything. Doesn't mean they can talk about politics or education, or they can talk about medicine or spirituality. Doesn't mean they're successful in any one of those areas. But oftentimes people mistake that financial success for wisdom, and that's not what it is. So we need to be careful on how we approach things. We need to be mindful of ourselves as we get more and more successful. So I don't necessarily believe that there are people out there who truly believe that money is the root of all evil, unless there's some, and I do think that there are people that they don't believe in themselves, and they actually are their own worst enemies in that. So there's this cycle of suffering. Yeah, I'm a horrible person, but I got to keep making more money to prove that I'm a horrible person. I think there are, in the psyche of things, there could be people that are like that. I think in general, though, we lose sight of who we truly are. And we let those negative behaviors become amplified because we have so much money.
It reminds me because I have colleagues as well, and like the ones that embody the positive traits like generosity and kindness, they seem to make and save and invest money very easily. And then the Scrooges, they're still wealthy, but they have to struggle. It's, I gotta go into the office now. Oh man, another dollar. I gotta pay this tip. And then it seems like they're always struggling. And so it sounds like the ones that embody your traits are the money flows easier. It sounds like, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely spot on there. And I think I've created this, it's a metaphor for our relationship to money is if you were to treat your significant other the way you currently treat money, how would they feel? Do you demand that money be there when you want it? Do you expect it to be there and provide you with what you want, but you never think about it? You never pay attention to it when it's not there. You don't need it. Do you want to show it off to everybody like you're a big sport, but you really don't care about empowering it or understanding your relationship with it? That person's going to disappear very quickly. But what if you actually thought about money when it's not there? And you thought about, oh my gosh, how blessed I am to have it in my life. And when it does show up, I'm so grateful and I so honor and respect it. And I'm thinking about how can I improve my relationship with money? How can I expand my relationship with money so it becomes even better and it feels empowered and it feels honored and treasured in my presence? Suddenly, that significant other is going to want to be around you all the time. So if we relate to money the way we would relate to a significant other, I think we're going to start to see things about it. Wow, I really take it for granted. I really have a disrespectful relationship with money. And as that universal band of energy, if you think that's not going to have an impact on it, you start going to law of attraction. Law of attraction is we are mostly energy. If you look at the anatomy of an atom, we've got these little parts. We've got protons and neutrons. We've got the nucleus. But there's nothing in between them but energy holding them all together and in place. That energy has a vibrational frequency. This is what the law of attraction is talking about, is that energy vibrates at a specific frequency and likes attract. So if you're vibrating at a frequency of gratitude and joy and love and harmony every single day, you're going to attract more of that in your life. But if you're vibrating at a frequency of anger and frustration and annoyance, you're going to attract more of that into your life. So look at the things that you want in your life and focus on those. One of the foibles that people have is they look at the things they don't want. And they say, I don't want this. I don't want this. And in my line of work, I have a lot of people that come and say, I just am focusing on getting rid of debt. I don't want debt. I don't want debt. And I say, okay, how long have you been focusing on that? Oh God, years. And so what's happening is because debt is the focus of their attention, they're accumulating more debt because we're attracting that which is consistent with our vibrational frequency. Even from just a brain science, If the brain thinks its sole purpose is to get rid of debt, then it cannot see debt is gone because then its purpose is gone. So it's going to keep debt in existence so it has its reason for being. And so we want to always be looking at what I want, not what I don't want. That contrast is really important. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Great. Let that go. And now focus on what you do want given that contrast. And then, as Abraham Hicks would say, allow it to happen. Allow it to come to be. And this financial thermostat is where most of the people are working on manifesting. I'm working so hard at manifesting, but it's not showing up. And that's because that money mindset, you don't deserve it. You don't want to be evil. Money's the root of all evil. Whatever those old conversations are, those are the things that are stopping us from allowing that to come into our lives. So we can notice it, let it go, and then create a new relationship with money in that moment. And you're going to do this anywhere in any area. If you don't have enough love in your life, love flows in a circle. If you don't have enough joy flows in a circle. Where are you not giving joy? Where are you not letting joy into your life? Same thing with love. Where are you not letting love into your life? And where are you withholding love from others? Start clearing those blocks out, and you'll start to see money, love, joy, happiness flow much more abundantly in your life.
Interesting. There's a really great, it reminds me of what you were saying. There's a great quote is like, money amplifies who you are. So if you're like very generous, you'll be more generous. And then, but if you're like mean and anger and just, and I've seen people self-destruct when they come into money and because they couldn't handle it, they lost it because of these, which kind of brings me to my next question is you fix your mindset and then you have to take action in order to manifest these things. So once you fix your financial thermostat, what sort of actions do you do to magnify and amplify your wealth?
Yeah, I think it's important for people to do what they love. And to oftentimes we say, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, well, what does a lot of money look like for you? And why do you want that money? Rather than these blanket statements, we want to start getting really clear about what it is you want money for. Because when we open that space up of, okay, this is what I want money for, then what we're doing is we're letting the universe know, I want X number of dollars, or I want this amount of money so that I can do X, Y, and Z. Then suddenly and we're clearing out those blocks, right? And we're taking the actions that we would normally take, whether it's at work or in our business, and we're staying connected to the joy of it. We're staying connected to the happiness of it versus, I want to make $200,000 a year and I'm not there yet. I got to get there. I got to get there. You're in the present fighting with the future that doesn't exist yet, which is going to pinch you off from that flow of money coming to you. Or you've got this worry or concern from something that happened 10 years ago and you don't want that to happen. You're fighting with ghosts from the past. Either way, we're suffering in the present and we're cutting ourselves off from that source. And when we're freed up from that, we allow that sourceful energy, that abundance, that prosperity to flow to us. And so when we see these opportunities get in front of us, explore them. I love doing this with my clients because I'll say, okay, so you want more money in your life? Yes. What do you want money for? And they'll define it. I say, great. When was the last time you saw money show up in your life outside of your normal work? When was the last time? Oh, it's just not. Okay, so you haven't seen money anywhere in your, I saw a dime on the floor the other day, but I didn't pick it up. It was outside. I just want to pick it up. I don't pick up pennies. I don't pick up dimes. Okay, there's a block in the flow of money right there. You say you want more wealth in your life. You've put it out to the universe, and the universe puts a penny in front of you, and you say, nope, I don't want that money, right? I'm not interested in that. That's like saying to your significant other, going back to that metaphor, I love them so much, but they have the ugliest hands. I don't want to see their hands. I don't want to, how do you think they're going to feel? Same thing about a penny. A dollar is made up of 100 pennies. If you cannot love, cherish, and embrace the part of the whole, you can't expect the whole to show up. So if you want dollars to show up, celebrate and honor that penny that shows up. I saw one just the other day. I was doing something at a grocery store or something like that. I saw this penny right there under the cashier on my side of the cash register, right? It's just sitting there. People walking by and not even know. I'm like, picked it up and I was so grateful for it and put it in my pocket, came home, and I put it in my found money vessel. One year I found almost $800 in money just going through about my day. So if you start to really open yourself up for where money can show up in your life, you will not just find those pennies, but you'll find other financial opportunities that you would never have noticed before. Put in front of you where you can explore it. Doesn't mean you have to take every opportunity, but you can explore it. I've seen money that's been in a precarious place where I would have had to put myself in danger to go grab that coin. And what I'll do is I'll say, you know what? Thank you to the universe for showing me that money shows up in my life abundantly every single day. And I appreciate that coin, but I'm not going to take it right now because it's too dangerous for me to go after it. That's completely acceptable. So start to look at all the opportunities that show up. Pursue them as you would with any opportunity. Ooh, is this something I want to do? Is this going to work out for me? Is this going to fulfill who I am as a higher self? If yes, continue to follow through with it. If not, thank the universe for putting it in front of you. Thank the person that put it in front of you, and then complete it and move on to the next thing. So always be in action, but be in action with consistency to who you are on a higher plane, who you were committed to being, and the difference that you want to make in the world.
Yeah, and I really love this idea of the law of attraction and how it relates to money. If people wanted to find out more about you, it looks like you've been featured on major news networks. And how can they follow you and check out your work and reach out to you?
Sure. I have two websites. They both go to the same place. One is periclesrellas.com, and the other one is resetyourfinancialthermostat.com. They both go to periclesrellas.com. And right there on the main page, there's a link that says, watch my free masterclass. This free masterclass I created so that people could see the 4 keys to resetting your financial thermostat. All you have to do is put your name and email in, and you will get access to it. It's, I think, 27 minutes. It's an extraordinary opportunity to get everything you need to identify where your financial thermostat setting is and how to reset it so that you can start to create the kind of wealth and prosperity that you want in your life.
I love that. I really enjoyed this conversation. I love your passion, and the kind of the strategies were really helpful. And thanks so much for coming on, and keep up the great work.
Chris, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and have a great rest of your day.